Welcome back to part 2. Thanks for watching part 1. Hope it wasn't too boring. I'm using some new editing software, so please have patience with me. I'm learning it. It's a new learning experience for me. So sometimes the video might be a little dark or the audio a little off or something, but hopefully in the future I'll be able to correct all this. I do want to make a few corrections from the first video. Not a big deal, but the engine is actually at a 72, not a 73. Also the gray color, I said 67 to 69. I know it was available in 66 now because one of the things I like to do on my cars, British sports cars, you can go and get a heritage certificate. So I contacted British Motor Industry Heritage Trust, and through them they keep records of all the, not all, but pretty much all of the British cars built, 60s, 70s, whenever. And they're basically, you get a birth certificate for your car. You send off and tell them what make, model, the chassis number, your VIN number, and they'll come back and they'll tell you what the specs were on that car when it left the factory, when it was built, when it left the factory, and where it went. A few other things, they'll actually have the gearbox number, rear axle, and some of the options or fitted equipment, like this car had wire wheels, a heater, miles per hour speedometer, things like that. And it's a pretty neat thing to have. But on this, what's interesting, the build date on this particular car is 15 December through 3 January of 1966. The car is titled and registered as a 67. A lot of the British cars, by the time they're built, shipped over, and they might sit on a new car lot for 6 months after they get here, whenever they're sold is when they're titled and registered. So this car is really, I think, is a 66, not a 67, but because by the time it was sold, which it doesn't state on here because it doesn't state which dealer it was sold at, by the time it was sold, it was registered as a 67. But along with that, it's a gray car in 66. So evidently they started doing them gray, the Scrampian gray in 66. The other thing, I just kind of wanted to show you real quick. This is everything I've been doing, and I have the date, what I did, and the column on the far right side is the hours. So on this day here, I worked 4 hours approximately. Anyway, I'm just tracking the hours. By the time we get to the end of this video, it's well over 200 hours. So this is not just something you're going to do in 20 or 30 hours. You'll see where we're at the end of the video. To break up my boring videos a little bit, you'll see some other cars in the background. Another one here. I might kind of throw in occasionally some of the cars, photos of some of the cars I've worked on, or do a walk around on a couple of my cars, just show you what they are. They've kind of been modified slightly, and maybe a driving video of each car, but we'll see. Well, this is part 2. Thanks for watching. Okay, it's been a couple weeks, but I just wanted to show you the progress I've made. The car is pretty much stripped down. I have a little bit of wiring and some of the plumbing going from the front engine compartment to the back that I need to pull off still, but I'll pull that off once I get it up on its side. But the car is, I'll walk around it here. The car is pretty much down. I have a couple little items I still have to pull off. What I'm going to start on today is getting the dolly attached to it so I can take it off the lift and roll it around. Along with the dolly, after I get the dolly made, I want to put some brackets on one side of the dolly that will come up, so I can actually tilt the tub, the whole body up on its side to work underneath, and that's when I'll pull everything off underneath and get that all out. But that's kind of it. I still have the rear hatch and the 2 doors to take apart. And as usual, this was an incredibly messy job. Continually sweeping the floor. You just touch the car and dirt and crud falls all over the place. So it's like when I was working out here during every day, it's like 4 or 5 times a day I'd be cleaning the floor because I don't like walking around in this stuff. But it's a messy job, but let's just do it and get it over with. So there are some bolts that got busted off. The hinge bolts for the doors would not come out, so I ended up drilling the heads off, and I'll have to re-drill those and tap them out, re-tap the threads. And anyway, just it's stubborn, you know. It's a 55-year-old car, so things, if they've never been apart before, they don't like to come apart after that long. Anyway, we'll show some more a little bit later after I made some progress. Well, I've been busy the last 2.5, 3 days. I made a dolly for the car, or for the tub, so we could roll it around. I pretty much got, the body is all stripped. There's just a few little minor things I still have to pull off. But I needed a way to get it down off the car lift and be able to roll it around on the ground. So what I did was I made some mounting plates in the front that you can see here. And then we'll go around to the back. I'll put a little more light on this. And then in the back, I put some mounting plates on here also. Welded those on, one on each side. The other thing I wanted to do, it's really messy cleaning up the underside of the car, and I don't really want to sit underneath it and scrape it off. So on some of the past cars I've done, I've made like a cradle that bolts onto the dolly that you can tilt it up on its side. That way you can get on all of the underneath of the car. So what I did was I added these on. I did not drill any holes in the tub, but I just used the rear shock mount holes on the rear one. And this one will just unbolt here and then slide in the other side. So you can tilt it up either way. The same on the front. This one here can just be unbolted on the top and bottom and slipped into the other side. Make it much easier scraping off, cleaning the underside of this car before I take it over and get it media blasted. Also, there's some wiring, a little bit of plumbing left underneath the car. That it'd be much easier when it's up on its side. This is really messy work. It's a part of the car I really don't enjoy doing, but it has to be done. Anyway, that is that. We'll get it down off of the lift and set it on the ground, see if my little side cradle things work. See what happens. Well, I got it up on its side, on the side cradles. It was a little bit too heavy for me to lift, you know, one person by themselves, so I kind of cheated and used my engine hoist just to get it up there. Once I got it up at about a 45-degree angle, it pushed over real easy. It was just a little bit too heavy for me. But as you can see, you can pretty much get to everything on the bottom here. I got all of the electrical and hydraulic lines and fuel line going back to the back here. Got the fuel pump out, pretty much all stripped down now. I did start stripping a little bit of the undercoating and things off from the bottom side of the car here. The battery boxes, these two here, these cars originally came with two 6-volt batteries for a 12-volt system. Later, a lot of guys converted them over to a single 12 on one side or the other. But these are going to be totally in the way, and we don't need these batteries anymore. So I'm going to be cutting these off. I'm not going to even bother cleaning them because they're going to be tossed anyway. But I do want to get these off. What I'll probably do is come through and remove these spot welds around here so it's nice and clean. I'll do that before it goes to Media Blast. This is really messy. I put some plastic down. You really don't want to walk too much on this stuff because it's greasy, oily, dirt, grime, and it gets on the bottom of your shoes and it gets packed into the cement. So I like to put plastic down. It makes it much easier to clean up later. All in all, the car's not too bad underneath. It's kind of normal, I guess. But anyway, this is the dirty work, but it's got to be done. So, more later. Well, I'm still scraping. This is a really messy job. I pulled the battery boxes off. You can see where I drilled out the spot welds around here, and then just pried them off, used chisel. I only went through once down here with the drill bit. They came off fairly easy. Took over about 4.5 hours maybe to get these off, but this really opens this up in here. I'll be able to put the new cross member across here and make some brackets onto the existing spring mount, forward spring mounts where the leaf springs used to be. I'm going to leave these opening here. There's a plate, and these fasteners hold the plate on, and that was your access to the battery, the two batteries. I'm going to leave that mainly because with that plate off, you can reach in here, and I've got these toe in, toe out, and camber caster adjusters on the BMW suspension arms, and it just allows easier access to them maybe from up here. It might be a little too busy to reach in here, so I'm going to leave those. It's kind of a neat little feature. Another day or so at least of cleaning the bottom of this before it can be taken to the media blasters. So that's where I'm at.